Hey, everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. I was thinking about something the other day. You know how we learn about all these historical figures?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they're just these names in a textbook.
Yeah.
Well, today, we are going beyond the textbooks to uncover the real person behind the legend. And we're doing it with name of historical figure.
Very exciting.
This is someone who, insert a teaser fact from the biographical excerpts, Fedacy, advised kings, crossed paths with legendary artists, survived a shipwreck. Something intriguing to hook the listener.
Wow.
It's incredible. Like when you hear that, you're just kind of like, wait, who is this person?
It makes you want to know more, right?
Right. So to give everyone a little bit of context, name of historical figure, lived from year to year.
Right.
And during their lifetime, they achieved, mention one or two major accomplishments or roles.
Right.
But one of the things that really stood out to me, and it's kind of a small detail, but it really just kind of caught my eye, was this idea that mention an unusual or intriguing detail from the biographical excerpts.
It really gives you a sense of the time period and who they were, doesn't it?
It does. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on that. I mean, what is it like to kind of process that? What do we know about what that meant at the time?
Well, it tells us that they were a product of their time, right? And to understand that detail, we should probably understand a little bit about, clarify historical context for the detail the host mentioned without directly repeating what the host said. So that gives you an idea of just how different things were back then. And, when I was reading these excerpts, one thing that really struck me was how name of historical figure dealt with mention a specific challenge or obstacle from the biographical excerpts.
Yeah.
What was that about? Well, to put it in perspective, back then, provide historical context for the challenge, explaining why it was significant, and most people at the time would have likely mentioning the expected or typical response.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But name of historical figure, they thought a little differently. Instead, they chose to mention how the figure actually responded to the challenge.
Wow.
It really showed their mention a personality trait or value revealed through this anecdote, and I think we see that throughout their life.
It's interesting because we always put these historical figures on a pedestal. It's like, oh, they did this incredible thing. They must have been so different from us.
Right, they're almost superhuman.
Yes. But when we start to really unpack what they went through, I don't know, it makes them feel a little more relatable.
Definitely. Their challenges might be different, but the human experience is still there.
Yeah. Speaking of relatable, I think one of the things I was really surprised by is how name of historical figure wasn't just driven by
You see.
mentioning a well-known achievement.
Yeah.
That's the thing you see in the history books, but when you really look at it, it's like what really motivated them was mention a less-known motivation or passion.
That's what makes them complex, right? It wasn't just about fame or power or whatever. They were driven by something deeper and more human.
Yeah, and you can even connect that to today, right? I mean, think about it. Connect their less-known motivation to something relatable to the listener's life. So it's like, even though they lived centuries ago, we're still connected to them in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, we all want those things, don't we? And one of the things that Name a Historical Figure did that I thought was interesting was they mention a specific strategy or approach they used to try to achieve their goals.
And was that successful for them?
It's hard to say if it was totally successful, but it definitely had an impact. Of course, there were setbacks, like that time when mention a specific obstacle or failure they encountered. But even in those moments, they were learning. They took away from that experience that it mentioned a lesson they learned. It really speaks to their resilience.
It makes their successes even more impressive when you realize it wasn't just a straight shot to the top.
Yeah.
They had to work for it.
Exactly. They had to overcome obstacles, learn from their mistakes, and keep going. And, their influence wasn't just limited to mention a well-known achievement.
Right. There's more to it.
Their work impacted, mention a less-known area of influence, and even had ripple effects on, mention an unexpected or far-reaching consequence of their actions. Just goes to show how interconnected things are, even across time.
Wow. It makes you think, what will people centuries from now be saying about us? And what stories will they be telling about the figures we admire today?
Oh, that's a great question. What will our legacy be? It's something to ponder, isn't it? I guess that's the beauty of history, though, right? It's not just dates and names. It's about understanding the past and using it to help us navigate the present and the future. And hopefully it inspires us to make our own mark on the world.
Absolutely. I think name of historical figures story has certainly done that for me and hopefully for our listeners as well. So to everyone listening, remember this was just a glimpse into the fascinating life of name of historical figure. I mean, we could honestly probably do a whole, I don't know, series on them, and we still wouldn't even scratch the surface. So to everyone listening, go out there and keep exploring and keep asking those questions because you never know what you might discover. And until next time.
I can't wait to see what you uncover.
Me too.